So I am one of those people that, because I buy so many books, I have so many books that I haven't read yet, but I buy so many more new books that I get so excited to read as soon as I have mine in my hands, especially if it's a book that I've been hearing a lot about. And then that aspect of it has been happening a lot more on because I've joined BookTube. But so have any of you ever had that experience where like you have tried to restrain yourself from reading new books because one, you don't want to read, you just don't want to read it right away because it's like you're so excited, and then it's like as soon as you start reading it, it's like now it will be over before you know it. Although with the way I read, especially with the bigger books, then it might not be over before I know it. And when it's over, it's over. I mean, even though you can technically reread it, as long as it's your copy. But I don't like, because I don't want to. I have so many other books that I have that I don't want to neglect those. I need to read those, so I try to include those. But then I get new books and I'm like, oh, I want to read that. Especially because I hear so much about it on BookTube that I want to read it as soon as I get it. Like I've recently got the night film in the Circle, and I really wanted to read those like right away as soon as I got them. And then I finally got my own copy of The Secret History and East of Eden, and there's and then the book I just got just now, because even though I told myself I want it, but I did save my bigger bills and just use some dollars, because you can't use your card at this bookstore, but you can use cash or write a check, and I'm a little rocky with the writing the checks thing. So and who would want to write a check for $5? I mean, unless because the most expensive book is $5 at that place. So, and that it's an author, but the book I got is by an author that I've heard a lot about. So before I, start with what this book is really about, this video, I don't know why I said book, video is about, do any of you have that kind of problem where, like, you don't like starting new books you just bought right away, but at the same time, you have this urge to read them as soon as you get them, especially if it's a book that you've been super excited to read and have in your possession. The other thing I want to tell you guys is that I decided to take a break from getting books from the library. Because the problem is, I have so many books, so many of my own collection of books, and, unless your library is just weird, and, most libraries, you have 2 to 3 weeks, and yes, you can recheck out books, but I try to get them done within the 2 weeks, and I also get more than one, sometimes more than 2, so it's like, So I've decided to, I didn't even read the other 2 books that I borrowed last time, so I just returned those books. I did finish Agatha Christie's book, which I don't know if I'll actually do a vlog review of that. Well, it wouldn't be a video review of that one, because I'm just not very good at doing the video reviews. I'm better when I can write it out and think about it. Which is mostly my own fault, because I'm lazy. So, but yeah, so I'm not, especially because the original point of this video is I'm going to talk about Tome Topple. I am participating in Tome Topple once again. I think I missed the 4th round, which I think was back in August. I don't remember doing it. Or maybe I didn't, I just forgot. But this time I was lucky enough to come across Sam's announcement video about it, Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. So, who is the creator of Tome Topple, which is basically, if you don't know, Tome Topple is basically focusing on, you have 2 weeks to, you have 2 weeks, and you're basically focused on reading big books, over 500 pages that you've neglected because they're a little intimidating or you just don't have the time. You don't have to complete, it's not about the quantity, it's not about how many books you're reading, it's just about putting a dent, at least, in the big books that you have neglected to read. because it's more convenient to read all the other books that aren't like big. There are challenges. One of them is you can read a graphic novel, but that's 500 pages. You can, because that one, it's a little like they're making an exception, but that's the exception that she's made because I'm explaining this poorly. So, but you can read a graphic novel that's over 500 pages. But you cannot read like anthologies and stuff. You can't read a bunch of short stories that are in one big book. That doesn't count because it's easy to read short stories. One of them is you read more than one tome, which you might, by the way, you guys might want to look, and I will probably post a link to Sam's announcement video, but so you might want to look at that. That will give you more specifics on the challenges and stuff. You can read more than one, like I said, which I'm trying to read at least only 2, but it might go beyond 2, which is a bad habit that I've come up that I've established since the beginning of Topple. Not the beginning of Topple, but the beginning of me doing Topple. You can read one of the challenges is reading an adult tome. Not now when I say adult, I don't mean like porno or anything like that or erotica. I guess some people were confused about that when last round, and people have had to clarify that no, adult does not mean like erotica or anything. It means just books with more mature themes and stuff like that. And then another challenge is reading a tome that is part of a series. I think those are all the challenges. Like I said, I'll post the link to Sam's announcement video or one of the other Topple people, one of the other people that's participating, or one of the other people running it, to get a more thorough and a better explanation, because I'm really bad at explaining things. Okay, so let me go over it before this video when this one also gets too long. Okay, so there are like at least 2 young adult, one of them's a new adult, that I have to read. That's why this might go beyond 2. The first one is Harry Potter and Goblet of Fire. I have attempted a reread of the series before, and I didn't get beyond book 5. I only got like halfway through, and then for some reason I stopped. This, you would think I would have no problem rereading this series several times because it's my childhood series. It's the first serious fantasy story that I really got into and became passionate about. It was the first thing I ever fangirled over. Because, I read things like Nancy Drew and Goosebumps and stuff like that, but, I wasn't hardcore into that stuff. So I want to actually finish a reread of the whole series. I remember, like, I've constantly, because, the third book is one of my favorites, I constantly am rereading. I have opened up the third book to my favorite chapters constantly, so now the third book is coming out of its binding. So I'm tempted to get a paperback edition of the third book. I don't know when that will ever happen, though. Okay, so, but you can see, these are pretty old, because the outer, the cover is, not as nice anymore. But these are these are the first American first editions. So, not the very first one that was ever sold, obviously, but these were, these were the first American ones. So, I had to finish this. I'm already at the chapter The Weighing of the Wands, where Harry's already been selected. Ron has already accused Harry of, like, lying to him and putting his name in the Goblet of Fire, and everyone's all like, I don't trust you, and I don't believe you, and, we and the other teachers are like, the other headmasters from the other schools, our headmistress and headmaster, are like, oh, we should be allowed to put more than one student in there, we're going to be introduced to Rita Skeeter in the chapter Weighing of the Wands. She is such an interesting character. Sometimes she is the most annoying character in the series, but other times, she's just so funny. I wish they included the whole... In the movie, they don't include the fact that she is an animagus and can turn into a beetle. They didn't include that part, but I guess it was kind of a minor part. It wasn't as important to her character, or to the story. That'd be kind of... I wish we could have seen that. So, I gotta read this. This is a given. Okay, and then I just realized that I need to finish reading this one. Queen of Shadows. I had a difficult time reading this when I first started, because as you can see, I did start it. I'm in the middle of chapter 12. But because I am a fan of Kale, it's a little hard to see him painted in a bad light and to see Selena mad at him. It's just very frustrating. And, I'm not saying what he did was, I'm not saying that he's Mr. Innocent and she was unfair, but I get why she was pissed at him. And what he did totally had big consequences. But at the same time, he's still my baby, and I would still date him. But I definitely have to finish this because I have to read Empire of Storms, so I can read Tower of Dawn if I get it for Christmas, because it is on my Christmas list. As a huge fan of Cal, I had to get it, and as a fan of the series, I have been told by multiple reviewers have said that Tower of Dawn is part of the series. It's not just a novella. It's not just a sub-story or anything. It actually is part of it, and you have to read it, even if you're not a fan of Kale. You still have to read it, because it's part of the storyline. So, I got that one. And this is one of those books I was talking about. One of the books that I just bought at the used bookstore for a really good price. That I have the urge to read it. So I did start it, and then Apologize by Kevin Follett. I don't know if that's right. I also have his other trilogy, what is it? I can't remember what it's called, but I have that one too. The one starting with the Pillars of the Earth. I have that trilogy as well. So I just had the urge to read this when I got it, and I have all three of them, the same editions. But it was, when I started reading the prologue, it was bad timing because it was around Twilight. Our town was having Oktoberfest, so there was a German band, German food. We were outside this little park that we have. It's really just a field where kids can run around. It's near the library. And so it was just, and I was tired, it was getting dark, so it was really a bad timing to start reading this book. So I do want to include, this is another one I want to consider reading for Tome Topple. Okay, so next, I'll go with these two. Okay, so during one of my library book visit, I have, because from Words of Raider was talking about East of Eden, and there were other people that were constantly talking about how great The Secret History was. I told my mom I wanted to buy them, or I wanted someone to buy them for me for Christmas for my birthday, and she suggested that why don't you see if the library has them. Now, I don't like getting these kind of books from the library because they are so long, and I know it's going to take me a long time to read them. And even though, yes, I could recheck them out, I will have to recheck them out multiple times. So finally, I decided to go into the library, return the ones I borrowed from the library, because I did what my mom suggested, and because I have no self-control, I borrowed both of them. So finally I decided I'm not getting anywhere with these books. I know my mom told me to try them at the library. So far I was liking them, so I decided to go ahead and get them at BAM. And, so here they are. I did start my library copies that I had for a period of time, and I've been wanting to read them for a while. And I actually recently I got Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath I remember when I saw the play, I kind of fell asleep, but I was to be fair, it was also like 11 or 12 at the time. It was at night, so I was already tired. It was kind of one of these things that my dad, spurred on me. He got the tickets, and I love theater, so he got the tickets for me for us to go see it. So I've decided now that I'm older to go and I bought the book. And like I said, I was at the used bookstore, so it was a really good price. So I wanted to read these two as well. I think I'm gonna have to hurry this along. Either that or it won't matter what I say right now because I'm gonna have to refilm this anyway for the third time. So these two I want to read for Topple. And they look a little less, these editions look a little less intimidating than like that edition of Fall of Giants or the hardback editions I got at the library that I borrowed from the library. Although it still takes me forever to read those books like that. Okay, so now on to the mass market paperbacks I have here. So I also have, I need to include this because, like, again, this is one that I've been in the middle of, that I started. And also, this is one that, I have a Big Books book club on Goodreads and Facebook. And this was the book we all chose. And I feel really bad because I have neglected to pick it up and read it. Which I did message on Facebook. I didn't message on the Goodreads group. I really should do that. But I did message on the Facebook group that I have no timeline for this because I have not picked it up in a while. So I do need to get back to picking this up. Unfortunately, with these kind of books, I kind of will sometimes break my rule and just stop in the middle of a chapter or a section, even if it's not, even if it's in the middle and it's not a stopping point or a breaking point or whatever. Because these books just are so, like, big, and there's so much that it's hard to find, it's hard there are so many pages before you can get to a good stopping point, usually. So this is on there, this is one of the definite ones, so this might be one of the first ones. And then, okay, I'll go ahead and show you this one. This is another one that I started. I really love this series. First, it's historical fiction with a little bit of time travel, a tiny slither of it. I love the characters, and I definitely want to continue with it. Although I'm told that at some point people do get, I don't know which book, but at some point people do get tired of Diana Gabaldon. How she doesn't kill off I was spoiled and told that she doesn't really kill off her characters. Like, she tortures them and almost kills them, but they somehow survive. Although I still loved Court of Wings and Ruins, even though, spoiler alert, no one dies. Except for, a character that's, like, not as important in the book. Throughout loses importance in the book. But I did stop on them. I managed to pause on a chapter. I'm trying to use this bookmark that my sister gave me. Use it the way you're supposed to use it, but it's hard because I wrinkle the pages and stuff. But this is also a used copy. Well, not used. It was a copy that belonged to my cousin, and she just went ahead and let me borrow it because just bought her own copy, a new copy of this, and she just let me. You can keep it. So it's kind of, as you can see, the spine is a little bent. But I'm not one of those people who's anal about that. Well, that's a harsh word. I shouldn't say anal. I'm not one of those people who was bothered by a spine like this. But I'm not too crazy about dog earing, although recently I did dog ear a book because, the Lunar Cinder, I'm rereading that, and my copy of Cinder, I did a video about this, but my copy of Cinder, chapter 6, I think it is, the pages are out of order, and upside down, so I actually, what I ended up doing is went through to find the next page in the number order, and I dog-eared the page so that when I got to that point, I would be able to find it more quickly. So I had a legitimate reason to do it. So, but I did commit it. But I mean, and I've said before, I won't, I don't like it, but I won't, give you a hard time if you do it. I might be like, thinking in my head, why do you do that? Why can't you just use a bookmark? But then that would be a little hypocritical of me because I did just that very thing in dog-eared, but not necessarily to, well, yeah, I mean, it was to mark the page, but it was because, the book was messed up. And I'm keeping the book because the pages are still in there. They're just not in order. And it's not like the bookstore aren't going to sell it to anybody else because someone else is going to have the same problem. And I don't know if they can send it back to the publishing company. And I was reminded that prints of books that are different, that sometimes, like, in the future, you can make money off of those. Not that I would sell it, but, you never know. Because, I mean, I rebought it, so why would I sell it to someone? I mean, granted, people would argue that, well, you could get money off of that. So, but I have a hard time letting go. I value my books more than money, honestly, which is really probably a bad thing. Which is probably something, not a bad thing, but something you definitely would have mixed feelings about. Because on the one hand, money is money. I mean, we all need money to pay for things, but books are very valuable in a different way. So anyway, okay, I think dinner is almost ready, so let me go ahead and talk about the last book that I'm considering. And that is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Again, as you can see, this is a used copy by this fact. There's a line, if you can see it. I don't know if you can really tell. This was a lucky find at the used bookstores. I was very happy. It was the only copy that they had on the shelf. I don't know if anyone else presented them with a copy of this book, but I was very happy and very excited. I jumped at the chance to buy it. Obviously, this is a really long book. I'm looking at the chapters. It's divided into several sections, and it's divided into like 1, 2, 3. It's divided into 3 sections, 3 volumes. So this is a thick book. But I've been wanting to read it for a long time, and I was very excited. I did an audible gasp, when I saw it, and I jumped at the chance. I was like, I'm getting this. I grabbed it, and I was like, no one else is gonna put their hands on this book, because with that bookstore, you never know. Your book might not be there anymore. Like tonight, I had to decide between 2 different books. I didn't make a choice, but part of me wonders, maybe I should have got the other one. Maybe I can next time it won't be there, but maybe next time it won't be there. But the one I ended up getting is an author that I heard a lot about, and I love historical fiction, which it is historical fiction, so I'm happy. It's just part of me wondered what would happen if I bought the other one instead. But maybe there's an alternate reality where I did buy the other one. So this is also one I'm going to consider. I've been wanting to read this for a while. And like I said, I was very excited when I saw it at the used bookstore because it'll probably be $11 or $12 at Books A Million. So, and this was, I think, only like $3 or $4. So that was awesome. Okay, so that is my Tome Topple, or a possible Tome Topple. So like I said, I'll post the link to Sam's Thoughts of Tomes' announcement video when I find it. Are you guys participating on Tome Topple? If you are, what are you planning to read? If you're like me and have a lot of choices, you don't have to tell me all your choices, unless you want to. And like I said, if you can answer my other question about how if you've ever experienced where you try not to read new books when you just get them, but then once you get them, you have to read them, or you really want to read them. Just answer, if you have experienced that, answer that in the comments. If you have not experienced it, you don't need to tell me that you haven't experienced it. I have that problem on Facebook when I ask questions. Sometimes people will respond and tell me that, oh, I've never had that happen to me before. Or, I've never experienced that before. It's like, well, then why did you respond? But anyway, so if you have experienced that, then comment as well on that as well. And like I said, comment on what you are going to read for Tome Topple if you are participating. Alright, thank you. Bye.